While San Francisco truly has some deadly weapons on the offensive side of the ball, none is better than Brandon Aiyuk in my opinion. He elevated his game since finding himself in the doghouse during his second year in the league to now being one of the league's premier wide receivers. Despite many defenses throwing the book at him, they used a variety of zone and man coverages, but despite what you did, Brandon Aiyuk was just cooking. For instance, he led the entire league in yards per reception with 17.8. The best wide receiver widely considered, Tyreek Hill, only came in at 15 yards per reception. Just to highlight how dominant this is, if Brandon Aiyuk received a similar amount of receptions as Tyreek Hill, he would have led the league and set a single season record in receiving yards with 2,118 yards this season. So in this video, we're going to dive deeper into Brandon Aiyuk's film to see how he truly tormented defenses last year. And when we go deeper into Brandon Aiyuk's film, a big reason for his success this season is his ability to create separation coming out of his routes, as well as the chemistry he's developed with Brock Purdy. When we watch this play, for instance, Brandon Aiyuk does an excellent job of driving on this corner. And then when you watch how he breaks inwards, he's wasting no steps. It's one step for him to change his direction, which causes this massive separation. When you pair that with the fact that Brock Purdy is also throwing it as soon as he's coming out of this break, this separation isn't wasted, and later you'll see how that sets up even bigger games than this one. One of the biggest reasons why many young wide receivers fail in the NFL is when they face press man coverage, they just can't get off it. Well, that's not the case with Brandon Aiyuk. On this play, for instance, Brandon Aiyuk does a great job of understanding how to attack this defensive back based on the route he's running. Aiyuk on this play, for instance, is running a post route, so he needs inside release. To do this, he really forces his corner to commit outside with a hard step before finally releasing inside. And once again, throughout Brandon Aiyuk's route, you don't see any wasted steps. It's one step, he's out of his break, he creates tons of separation, and once again, Brock Purdy with that great anticipation gets it to him. And that was really a big reason why I didn't think San Francisco should move off Brandon Aiyuk. Him and Brock Purdy together go together like peanut butter and jelly. One of the most under radar skills wide receivers possess is their ability to attack leverages of defensive players, and often this is what separates elite wide receivers from just good. To really highlight my point, I don't think there's any better play than this one. Brandon Aiyuk is running a corner route, and you can see how he actually shoots inside based on this defensive back stance. And as you can tell, when he comes back outside with that hard step that he's been known for, it creates all the separation and stacks up that DB. To further highlight my point, on this play, Aiyuk does an excellent job of challenging the outside shoulder of this defender before shooting back inside, which gives him a perfect release. Even though Brandon Aiyuk is probably one of the more under radar wide receivers across the entire league, when you turn on his tape, he's truly complete. He understands every single nuance of the wide receiver position. For instance, one of the biggest things fans don't understand is how important it is for a wide receiver to understand the coverage he's facing. On this play, for instance, Brandon Aiyuk pre-snap is reading cover 3, and then as it turns post-snap, he understands that is the coverage. So this corner he's going against has the deep third, so he fakes like he's going deep on like a post route before shooting out on this corner route. So he's not only attacking the leverages of this player, but his responsibilities on this play. And while route running is definitely important as a wide receiver, perhaps just as important, if not more so, is your ability to make contested catches, adjust to the ball mid-air, and well, what you do with the ball in your hands. To highlight how important body control is as a wide receiver, on this play, Brandon Aiyuk is coming across the middle, but the ball is a little bit behind and above him, but he does an excellent job slowing down and high pointing this catch. One of the most important areas for a wide receiver to adjust their body is on this sideline where the quarterback often throws to a spot only he can get, and on this play is no different. Brock Purdy sets it up so Brandon Aiyuk is the only person who can feasibly get this. But thanks to his adjustment, Brandon Aiyuk actually does get it. Aiyuk's ability to adjust mid-route and to what his quarterback is doing is a big reason why Brock Purdy started to develop so much trust for him. In this Cardinals game, for instance, you can see how Purdy just trusts Brandon Aiyuk completely to go up and get it. He basically just lays it out there for Brandon Aiyuk to get under, despite there being 2 DBs there. And Aiyuk and Brock Purdy were proven right on this play thanks to this adjustment. One of the biggest reasons top 5 wide receivers are so sought after in this league is their ability to make your quarterback right, with their ability to go up and make contested catches. On this play, for instance, Brandon Aiyuk demonstrates his ability to go up in a playoff game and make this contested catch after it ricochets off this player's helmet. While many people only grade a wide receiver based on what they do in the passing game, I don't think that's necessarily effective. They're also so vital to the running game. On a play like this, for instance, Brandon Aiyuk is a big reason why this run sprung for 65 yards, and he's consistently solid in this aspect. But once Aiyuk does have the ball in his hands like CMC, he's much more than a blocker. He's an effective yak bro. On this play, for instance, as we watch Brandon Aiyuk, he does an excellent job of firing out of his route as well as identifying the zone coverage. Once he finds the soft spot in the zone, he makes himself a friendly target to Brock Purdy. But my favorite part is what he does after the catch. You see, Brandon Aiyuk understands this backer is going to come over and try to take his head off, so he does an excellent job of spinning out of it, and thanks to his speed and acceleration, he gets pretty far down the field. In a similar way later in this Ravens game, Aiyuk is able to create instant separation, but once he gets the ball in his hands, he explodes through this route and picks up a massive gain when it probably should have just been a gain of like 5. When you think about Yak Ability for a wide receiver, you think of him running over a guy or maybe juking out a couple of guys and then taking it to the house. And while Brandon Aiyuk does do that, on this play, I want to focus on how his chemistry and route running with Brock Purdy set him up for a massive gain. Here, you can see how he gets immediate separation facing the zone coverage. Brock Purdy's hitting him pretty soon out of his break, and once he gets the ball in his hands, he's going as fast as he can upfield, which routinely gives him the ability to get the maximum amount of yardage for his routes. When we watch Brandon Aiyuk as a wide receiver, perhaps there's no better play to illustrate who he truly is than this play from this Buccaneers game. He has the ability to set up this cornerback twice before catching on him and turning it upfield for a massive gain. So it not only shows off his great route running, but his ability to have that yak mentality I was speaking about. Overall, while Brandon Aiyuk is probably one of the more under radar wide receivers across the entire NFL, the fact is for me, he's probably San Francisco's deadliest weapon. He has everything you want out of a true number 1 wide receiver, whether that be the ability to go up and get it, or just burn people with his routes. And as Brandon Aiyuk enters his second full year with Brock Purdy, their chemistry should continue to develop, and I expect them to be one of the deadliest duos across the entire league. But ultimately, those are just some of my thoughts about Brandon Aiyuk leading the league in yards per reception, and I'd like to hear your thoughts down below, and it would also mean a ton if you liked and subscribed, and as always, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.